organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV.
Today wraps up AIDS Awareness Week on campus. Be sure to keep watching to see how the week went.
And proposed changes to the Iowa City Courthouse were struck down for a third time this year. We have an exclusive look on how the building is holding up.
And in sports,
Iowa hoops because their first signature win of the season.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Nick Fisher.
And I'm Greta Miley. The United States Justice Department entered into an agreement with the city of Cleveland today. The department announced they found evidence of excessive force used by the Cleveland Police Department. That includes using pepper spray, tasers, and guns, either unnecessarily or in retaliation against people who are mentally ill or in crisis.
The department and the city will work together to, quote, develop a court-enforceable consent decree that will include a requirement for an independent monitor who will oversee and ensure necessary reforms. You might recall the shooting of Tamir Rice that happened in Independence, Ohio last month.
Yesterday, it was announced that Timothy Lowman, who was the officer who fatally shot the 12-year-old boy, was deemed unfit for police service 2 years ago. Part of the reasoning behind that is because he suffered an emotional breakdown while handling a live gun.
More than 80 people were arrested in New York after protests broke out overnight. People rallied after a grand jury failed to indict Officer Daniel Pantaleo. Pantaleo is the officer who put Eric Garner in a chokehold that eventually killed him. Protesters marched on the Brooklyn Bridge, Grand Central, Columbus Circle, and Rockefeller Center. Almost all the arrests were for disorderly conduct. No injuries were reported.
The Johnson County Courthouse is over 100 years old and has barely been modernized since it was built. Its outdated design poses issues of safety, security, and space for staff and visitors. I went over to the courthouse today to see just how much space they don't have. After an annex was voted down 3 times in elections, members of the Johnson County Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee are striving to find a solution to address a serious issue, a courthouse that is too small.
I mean, if the answer is really nothing can move out, well, then we're relatively limited in terms of what we can do, and maybe that's the answer.
And according to many staff in the courthouse, nothing can move out. Some desks are located in hallways. Others have no foot space due to lack of storage. Clerk of the court, Kim Montevier, says she deals with this every day.
There's file folders under here, which we could get rid of these, but envelopes, just for lack of a better space to put them.
She gave me a tour of the office and showed a garage they use for storage of files and mandatory evidence for Class A felony cases. She said she has to run out to fetch a file there 3 to 4 times a week. Some files were even stored with the lawn equipment. The mandatory Class A evidence was in the basement of the garage.
You can see it's stuck.
Meaning evidence from historical high-profile cases share residency with the courthouse boiler room. County Attorney Janet Linus said the issue of space also translates to the courtroom.
If you want to file for a divorce case and you want to have a trial, you're probably looking at 2 to 3 years before you can get a court date. Other cases that are not high priorities, such as criminal cases where we have defendants in jail, get put off longer and longer.
But she said the issue of space is still not the most pressing.
People get very upset. I mean, this is a place where people come because they have disputes, and emotions can run very high. And so not having a metal detector to just make sure weapons are not in the building is a big concern to a lot of people who work here.
Linus also said she is frustrated with the fact that many rooms in the courthouse are not handicap accessible. This door behind me is the only handicap accessible entrance in the building, meaning that on trial days, everyone must pass through it, including sometimes inmates. Now this is an issue because, as you can also see, there are 2 bathrooms behind me, which means that it's very difficult for the courthouse to put security in this hallway. So what's the solution to all of this?
It seems like we can move forward and get some options here for immediate security needs and then get ready to budget for an additional staff members, and taxes will
For now, officials say the best they can expect are mobile additions to the courthouse.
One person is dead and another injured after a car crashed into a school bus in Solon earlier today. It happened at the intersection of Highway 382 and Eli Road. No children were injured. Officials do not know who is responsible for the crash.
AIDS awareness continues to be at the core of activities on campus this week. Sue-In Wang is giving us a wrap-up of all the Iowa City Red Week events.
Started by one campus in 2012, the IC Red Week is hosted by a collaboration of student organizations at the University of Iowa. This year, IC Red Week starts on the World AIDS Day on December 1st to promote HIV/AIDS awareness around the Iowa City community. It has grown into a week-long series of events. Events during the week include things like fundraisers at local restaurants, an HIV/AIDS speaker panel, a benefit dinner, film screenings, a display of an AIDS panel, and a lot more. Right now, they are playing a movie called Blood Brother. Donations, cotton candy, snow cones are prepared for the audience. There are also more activities going on during the rest of the week. The IC Red Week is hosted by 10 student organizations at the University of Iowa, such as U.S. Student for Human Rights, MedLife, Circle K International, and all the proceeds will be donated.
And all of the donations from that and everything else goes to local HIV organizations, Pitch and Chain, which is what we did last year and was really successful.
Organizers said they have more involvement in attendance this year, and the events have gained a wider reach each year.
We've been trying to really bridge the gap between the community and the student body in these discussions and awareness efforts. We still need to be knowledgeable about in our own state, in the country, and across the world.
Sue-In Wang, Daily Iowan TV.
The cost of health care is going up next year if you go through healthcare.gov. The Obama administration acknowledges the rise in premiums. The average increase within President Obama's health care law will be modest. Officials did say that millions of people can lessen the effect if they're willing to shop around for another plan in a more competitive online marketplace.
You know, Nick, as I've been walking to class this week, it's been a lot warmer.
I have to agree. I just wish those gray clouds would leave the sky. We'll now send it over to Anna Theodosis, who's standing by in the weather studio. Anna, what can we expect this week?
You know, Nick and Greta, unfortunately, those clouds are going to be sticking around, and we're going to continue to see this trend of seemingly warm temperatures tomorrow. To start off Friday, we'll see temps hovering right around 30 degrees in the morning, with cloud cover moving into the area that will stick around for the rest of the day. Moving into the afternoon, that temperature will rise up close to 40 degrees. By the evening, we'll drop back down to the low 30s. Now let's take a look at your extended forecast. For this time of year, we usually see temperatures right around the mid-30s, and at least for the next 6 days, we're going to stay right with that average. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday will all bring us temperatures in the mid-30s with clouds staying in the area. On Tuesday, we won't see much of a change on our thermostats, but the sun will make its first appearance in a few days. And on Wednesday, temperatures will rise up to almost 40 degrees. There's a look at your extended forecast, and I'll send it back over to Nick and Greta at the desk.
One local Iowa City bookstore is just one of 3 cottages located in downtown Iowa City that could be getting demolished. The Iowa City City Council plans on settling a dispute between property owners' rights and the preservation of historic buildings.
The City Council has scheduled a special meeting for this week to decide the fate of these 150-year-old cottages. We talked to William Ingalls, bookstore owner, to hear how he feels about the possibility of demolition.
This is my home, my workplace, and it would be, in my mind, a shame to lose this asset to Iowa City that's also my home.
Nick, I don't know if you caught the game yesterday, but I was excited to see the Hawks get away with a win.
I agree. I can't believe that the Hawks won even after that poor shooting performance. We'll now toss it over to Jalen Sochek and Chelsea Brown, who are standing by in the Daily Iowan TV Sports Studio.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Iowan TV Sports Studio. Hawkeye hoops and mat action set in Carver Hawkeye Arena this weekend. But first, the men's basketball team earned their first big win on the road last night.
The squad beat out 12th-ranked North Carolina Wednesday night, 60-55 in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Here's what head coach Fran McCaffrey had to say about what it took to take down the Tar Heels.
We got after them. They run so much stuff that's really hard to guard, whether it's, back screen stuff. And they move the ball so well, they pass it well, and they get it inside. And you have to be locked in. You have to stay engaged, 5 guys for the entire possession, or they're going to score. So, that was the game plan, and they executed it.
McCaffrey also praising the efforts of his junior point guard, Mike Gazelle, who put up the most points in the game at 16.
He was tremendous. I mean, he got us off to a great start, which is critical when you come into a place like this. He was aggressive. We were, concerned about their pressure, about their trapping. And, so you need your point guard to play that aggressively and with that much control, and settles everybody else down.
It was Gazelle's layup and foul shot that helped seal the deal, putting Iowa ahead for the final time.
Yeah, that's always my plan, to continue to be aggressive. And, I haven't been shooting the ball, great lately. And I just want to continue to stay aggressive with that and continue to shoot the ball. And I was able to knock my first few down, and it felt pretty good.
The Hawks will be back in action this Saturday, where they'll play host to Maryland-Baltimore County.
Last Saturday's win over Iowa State was head wrestling coach Tom Brandt's 150th career win at Iowa. The Iowa wrestling squad, now 4-0, hopes to continue their undefeated streak, opening up Big Ten action in Iowa City this weekend. Here's the preview. 28-8 win against the Cyclones, making it the 11th straight win in the series, is exactly the right track the Hawkeyes need to stay on as they host their Big Ten season opener against Michigan State.
Looked like it's early in the season is what it looked like. And, I don't think that's a knock. I mean, we were still able to do some things where they could have really turned the tables, because they had some guys that started to turn the tables, and then we didn't let it go all the way, to the other extreme.
Although the Hawkeyes dominated the Spartans with a 41-0 win in 2013, they are not turning their heads to the fact that Big Ten season is right around the corner.
No meet's any different than the other, but I guess, like you said, it's the first Big Ten meet, and we got to get our Big Ten schedule rolling and on a roll and get that Big Ten dual meet title again this year.
The Hawkeyes are favored in all 10 bouts, but the lone matchup between ranked opponents comes from 133 pounds with 4th-ranked Corey Clark and number 12 Javier Gasca. Clark, still undefeated, will face Gasca with an 8-2 record. Overall, the Hawkeyes hope to capitalize and make it 16 straight wins against the Spartans at home.
People coming to Carver Hawkeye Arena ready to go. They might not be the most talented team, but, you got to be ready to go, because it's Carver Hawkeye Arena. It brings, bring out the best of people.
You can catch this matchup starting at 7 p.m. this Saturday inside Carver Hawkeye Arena. The Hawkeyes won't start up action until December 29th at the Midland Duels. But if you're dying to get your wrestling fix, Tom Brandt and assistant head coach Terry Brands will be competing head-to-head in a 50-yard freestyle race during the second intermission of the women's swimming and diving duels against Iowa State on December 13th.
The women's basketball team will also be back in action in Carver Hawkeye Arena on Sunday to play host to Colorado State, a team that beat the Hawks last season. Here's what head coach Lisa Bluter had to say about the rematch.
Obviously a very challenging week for us. Colorado beat us by 3 points in a defensive battle, 90-87 at their place last year. So, they are led by Iowa native Linda Lappy from Morning Sun. And so it'll be fun for her to come back home. And, we hope to repay them for what they did to us last year.
The team also played at Louisville earlier this evening. Look for the results of that matchup in tomorrow's print edition of the Daily Iowan.
And the Nebraska Cornhuskers announced today the hiring of new football coach Mike Riley just days after firing of the Nebraska then head coach Bo Pelini. Riley spent the last 12 seasons as the Beavers head coach, where he went 85-66.
The decision was shocking for many fans. With the Huskers, Pelini posted a 67-27 record and finished the regular season 9-3. Oregon State finished only 5-7.
And that'll do it for us here in the sports studio. We'll be back this Sunday with a look at how the men's and women's hoop fared,
as well as the results from the Iowa-Michigan State wrestling duel. Greta and Nick, back to you at the desk.
That'll do it for tonight's edition of Daily Iowan TV.
But be sure to check us out on Sunday with the latest news, same place, same time.
Or you can see us anytime at dailyiowan.com. For Daily Iowan TV, I'm Nick Fisher.
And I'm Greta Miley. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.
You can download the Daily Iowan mobile app on your iPhone for the area's best news coverage. You can always find current and past Daily Iowan stories at dailyiowan.com. The Daily Iowan is now on TV, online, and in your pocket. If it happens, it's news to us.